it going, everybody? My name is Kyle O'Grady. I am a thru hiker. I am a backpacker. I am just a big old hiking nerd, and every single week on this podcast, I chat with other hiking nerds about their experiences on the trail. This gentleman on the episode this week, Kristian Morgan, dude, it was such a pleasure. This guy currently holds the second fastest time in the world for the Appalachian Trail, and he's going to be making another attempt at getting the fastest time in just a few weeks here. I love this dude. I'm telling you, he's so humble. We talk about that. He just has so much good insight, and he really, really appreciates the Appalachian Trail and its culture. It was so cool getting to talk to him. We did an in-person interview, which I don't normally do on this show. I've only done a few before, and I don't really have the proper equipment set up to do this, and so the audio quality is a little bit, I'll just say it's not quite as good as it normally is on this one, so I do apologize. It'll be back to normal next week, but that's just the best I had for this, and I still think it's worth a listen. I just had so much fun in this episode. I don't even want to do this introduction anymore. I think we should just jump into it. Episode number 143 with Kristian Morgan. All right, I'm very excited to welcome back, although it's been a long time, Kristian Morgan to Trail Tales. How's it going, man?
Yeah, it's good to be back. Good to meet you in person.
Yeah. So for everybody listening, we're doing this in person, which I've only done a few in-person episodes of Trail Tales ever, and I'm pretty sure Flossie has been the only guest that's ever done in person. So here we are in New Hampshire. Kristian is up here getting ready to do another attempt at the Appalachian Trail FKT, which I'm super excited to follow along. So thank you for coming. Thank you for chatting. And we also got the chance to hike together. Not run. There's no way I'm keeping up with this guy. But we just got the chance to hike a couple miles together the other day, and it was really awesome. So I'm excited to have you back on the show. I feel like I don't even know where to start, dude. Do you even remember? It's been so long since our last episode. Was our last episode before the third attempt, or was it before the second attempt?
It was after the first attempt. It was in 2020. I was in Thailand, and it was just as the pandemic was breaking out.
Wow. That's crazy, dude. So obviously a lot's happened since then. I guess probably the best way to start, because it's been so long, is just to have yourself just give like an introduction. Certainly talk about the attempts and some of the other stuff you've done. Yeah. Just remind people what's going on.
Yeah, well, I'm just someone who enjoys being out on the trail, I'm not really a big name or anything. I wouldn't call myself any, famous ultra runner or anything like that. But over the past couple of years, I guess my love with the Appalachian Trail all started from listening to podcasts and hearing about, Carl Meltz used to talk about about the Appalachian Trail, and then Scott Jurek went for the record in, I think it was 15. Carl Meltzer went for it in 16. I was listening to this progress on podcasts, and then 17, yes, String Bean self-supported, and then my friend Carol Sabe invited me to go and pace him in 2018. So I was able to, see the trail firsthand, and my love of the AT was born.
Yeah. Can we just briefly go through? So he's about to do his fourth attempt, which I really admire, like the fact that you're like so determined and like you're sticking with it and you keep going after it. And we can go down that rabbit hole too. But just briefly, like we're gonna talk quite a bit about the third attempt. What happened on the first two attempts? What were those like?
Yeah, learning experiences.
Yeah.
Definitely. My first attempt was 2019, straight after I helped Carol. It lasted less than a week. I got to Hot Springs, and my crew fell apart.
That's right. I remember talking about this now.
Yeah, so anyone wants to listen more in detail about that, I guess those guys can go back to that episode.
Yeah.
Do you remember what number it is?
No. I didn't even remember what it was.
Yeah, but so that was my first attempt. What was the question? Where were we going?
Just like briefly, like what happened with the first two.
Yeah, the first two. And then my crew fell apart in 2019. I couldn't get here because of the pandemic in 20. So I stayed in the UK, set the record on Britain's longest national trail. So that was pretty good. I saw that as a stepping stone towards the Appalachian Trail. And then 21 came back again just after Hot Springs. This time, I feel my body let me down, but in hindsight, I could have probably got through it, but I didn't have the mental fortitude to persevere through the physical hardship, which was some kind of, adductor tendinopathy or something. So yeah, I stepped off trail, called quits. But actually what I did was, in 2021 was I then stepped back onto trail in Hanover, and I did hiked the rest of the trail with the thru hikers, and did 450 miles with a group called the Dirty Bubble, and cool hikers, an old guy called Reckless Abandon, and just really embraced being on the trail as a hiker.
Yeah. Which I think is so cool, by the way. I was gonna say this at some point, but having gotten to know him pretty well over the last week or so, and we had talked quite a bit before that. I don't know too much about ultra running and FKTs, obviously, but I feel like it's intuitive. I don't want to stereotype people stereotyping ultra runners, but I feel like there might be some people out there anyway that have this notion that they're just thinking about the record, they're just thinking about the competitive nature of it, and they might not have the appreciation for the trail and the culture that surrounds it that a normal, say, thru hiker would. And I don't want to say I had that attitude, but I will say I've been very impressed with how much you care about not just the record, but the trail itself and the culture. And so when you told me that you went and did that, would you say 450 mile section just as a normal thru hiker, I thought that was so cool, because I don't know, that's just not what I'll speak for myself. I should probably do that. That's just not what I would imagine that a normal ultra runner would do. And I definitely could be wrong about that, obviously, because I don't know very much about it, but I don't know. I've been very impressed with I can really tell that you value the trail and the culture and the people and the whole thru hiking experience, way beyond just going for the record. And I just wanted to tell people that, just because I was telling my girlfriend about this the other day, and we were FaceTiming too. I just really respect that, and I admire that. Oh,
thanks. It means a lot to me, and it's true. I was just telling you on the way over here of. We'll get to that later on. I'm going to go for the record again this year, but I just bought an iPhone with half a terabyte on and downloaded every single episode of Trail Tales. I really enjoy listening to hikers, and it's such a journey, and it's a longer journey in time duration. It's the same distance as, say, an ultra runner is going to go for, but it's just different. I'm just definitely attracted to being away from society and just getting your pack and being on the trail. I'm not just thinking how fast can I do this, and I think there is this stereotype of maybe non-runners thinking, what's the guy in a rush for, and he's missing out on all this. I definitely consider myself a hiker as well as a runner. Yeah, for sure.
I think that's so awesome. Let's talk about what you just said there a second ago about downloading the music and the comedy from every state. Yeah. Can you explain what that is? Because that honestly goes back to what I was saying there, and how you're really trying to immerse yourself in it beyond just going for the record. So what are you doing there? Tell everybody.
No, I just came up with this idea. I have to keep myself mentally engaged, and I thought a way to do that would be to split the states up into 14 files in Spotify, and download the music artists. I've decided 10 is a good number. I think I've got more in Virginia. It's a big state.
I was going to say, yeah.
But I've just got music artists from each state, and they even started adding comedians as well from each state. What I'm going to do is when I'm in one particular state, I'm only allowed to listen to music and comedy from that state, and have to I'm going to go south, so I can't really jump to Georgia until I get to Georgia.
Yeah.
I just think it's a nice way to intellectually engage yourself as well as physically. So I think that's going to be fun.
Yeah. I think that's honestly an idea that just normal thru hikers could adopt too, although maybe not just limit yourself to that. Maybe just choose like 2 for each state that you can listen to while you're there. I don't know, maybe there's some crazy guy that wants to listen to nothing but Virginia artists for 500 miles in a month or however long it takes them. But no, I think that's so cool. And just like another example of how you're like kind of, I already said, like immersing yourself in, I guess not even just the AT's culture, but the culture of the areas that you're traveling through too. I think that's like, I think that's so cool. And, anyways, we're kind of getting sidetracked here, but not really. That's what a podcast is all about, right?
Isn't it just about spontaneous, organic conversation?
Yeah, exactly. But the reason, what I was going to say is I do want to talk about a little bit more in depth about what happened last year in 2022 on the attempt. So my understanding is you still did finish the trail that time, and pretty damn fast too. What happened?
Yeah, so I finished the trail in 44 days, 4 hours and 54 minutes. So it averages really annoyingly 49.97 miles a day. So the way I see it is the little toilet breaks I took off to the side must have made it be 50 miles a day. So.
Yeah, definitely.
But I can't. But yeah, so I was on record pace. There was a lot of trials and tribulations along the way. I tore my quad muscle and couldn't run for 2 days, just hiked for 2 days, still covered almost 100 miles. But it was down south, so it was easier terrain. Yeah. Then I came back to running, and I tore my quad muscle a second time, so I had to have another day's hiking.
Was it the same quad?
Different, same quad, but different place.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. And then so I got through that eventually, and I gained 12 miles on the record. Then I lost 12 miles on the record, and we were even. And then at one point I got up to another 27 miles ahead of Carol, the record holder. And then eventually what happened was I started to lose that little bit day by day, and it was really frustrating. And I got to day 32. I was 10 miles ahead of record pace that morning, set off. And I just had a really bad day, and I just had a mental meltdown. And I just said to my crew in the afternoon, I said, that's it, I quit, took my shoes off. It's a supported attempt, by the way, so I have a crew. Took my shoes off, jumped in the van, and I said, I quit. And my crew chief said to me, so each crew has someone who's really in charge. I guess we're more of a team, but gun section, who also happens to be my mum, said, yeah, you maybe quit, Kristian, you're right, but we're not quitting, And so, that night we went to a hotel, or even that day, it was in the afternoon. I got changed, had a wash, had a shave, went out to a steak restaurant, had a big steak, glass of red wine, felt completely drunk after one glass of red wine, didn't even finish it, came out, went to bed, started the next day, and finished the trail in the second, after 44 days, the second time, fastest time ever. As I said, 44 days, 4 hours and 54 minutes.
Okay. And did you know, when did you know that you were going to be coming back for your 4th attempt?
So what happened was, I went to Utah to go and see Carl Meltzer's race, the Speedgoat 50K. A lot of the hikers use Speedgoat, so they'll know who Carl Meltzer is, the guy behind the trail named Speedgoat, behind the shoe. So he has a race down in Utah, and I went over there, and Carl said to me, hey, if you go south, maybe I could crew you. And like I did, because he crewed Scott Jurek in 2021, and Scott stepped off trail with a quad injury after 6 days. And anyway, he sparked this idea in my mind, and I thought, have Carl Meltzer crew me, that sounds really good. So the idea came from Carl, and he really got me thinking. So that's what got me thinking, I'm actually going to come back.
But there must have been something in your mind before that too. I mean, if you've already done 3 attempts, unless, I don't know, I mean, maybe you had just like totally written it off after the third one.
I think at the time I kept on saying to myself, this is enough pain for one person for more than a lifetime, like the physical pain. So I think it was it was pretty soon afterwards, but not immediately.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't like, I was so close, I wanted to get it again. Because, I mean, I actually gave up on day 32. You know, I just, there was nothing wrong with me physically. What happened was I let Carol get inside my head because he was catching up with me little bit by little. And I guess instead of letting him eventually, even though he wasn't there, but, you know, his time catching up with me, instead of letting that happen, I just kind of, I guess, I became weak, let my opponent get inside my head and forgot about my own performance and just quit. So it takes a while to kind of recognize, you know, without using excuses, why you didn't get the record. I mean, I quit on day 32.
Yeah. And
then I came back and I got the second fastest time, but that's what I wasn't aiming for that. So
right.
I guess in a way for me, it was another failure. It wasn't like, wow, look at me, I'm the second fastest. It was like, well, I've been trying this for years and I didn't get it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, soon after I thought, I think I can get this.
Yeah, I think you can too, man. And I'm really excited to see how it plays out. So you're, you know, this will be out just a couple days after we're recording here. I don't know, I guess, are you comfortable like saying like your start date and all that publicly?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm happy to say, I say the start date's around the 1st of July. Mm-hmm. But as I was saying to you over here in the car on the way, I could probably do with starting on a Monday just to, you know, have a clean start. So that it's going to be around the beginning of July.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just a few weeks here as of the time of this recording.
Yeah, very close.
And the way that we were able to get connected here is, you know, I'm living up here just for, you know, couple months, being a little vague there as far as my location and stuff, but
shady.
Yeah, you know, I'm up here and you came up here to do some training. We're talking about the White Mountains, and I don't know, I just saw that Kristian was up here, and I was like, well, shit, I'll shoot him a message, and I was like, shit, like maybe he can do something. I said your name right. I always fucking Kristian.
That's right, okay. Kristian, yeah.
It's because it's spelled differently.
Spelled with a K.
It's spelled with a K, yeah, instead of like a, you know, CH. Anyways, so I saw that he was up here, and I was like, well, shit, maybe we can link up and do a podcast at least. And I don't know what went into your decision to come up here specifically for training. You've only been up here a couple weeks, right?
Yeah, I've been here a couple of weeks now. So I've been in Thailand since the start of the year, in between the mountains of the north and the island down south. And then I have a friend here called Veronica who paced me last year a little bit. In fact, I only met her just last year on the Appalachian Trail. She asked if I wanted some company through Franconia.
Yeah.
Is it called?
Franconia Ridge.
Franconia Ridge.
Yeah, like over Lafayette and Lincoln and all those peaks there.
That's it, yeah. Which is also on the Pemi Trail.
Yep.
Yeah. So she came out with me and we stayed friends, and she just said, hey, we've just purchased a house. Do you want to use that as your base camp until you start? And it's right pretty much on the Appalachian Trail. So I said, sure, let's do it. So by the time the beginning of July starts, I would have had a month here in the Whites. And yeah, I got to say, it's, I mean, I know it's tough terrain anyway, but it's a great opportunity to really get myself ready for this attempt.
I was going to say, like, again, I don't know anything about running, but, you know, I know quite a bit about the AT, and like most people say that like the Whites and Southern Maine, which is like part of it, is an extension of the Whites. Actually, it's still part of White Mountain National Forest. You know, most people say that's the hardest part of the trail, and so intuitively, I just feel like training, you know, spending some time training on the hardest part of the trail has gotta be like, it's gotta be smart, right? Like, I don't know, I'm not that smart, but that seems smart, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I think it could be smart. I think there's also a risk to overdo it and just injure myself.
Yeah.
So I really took myself to the edge now. I've got a few weeks to go. I'm feeling really tired from everything I've done so far. Just gonna bring it down, bring the volume down, you know, not do so many big days and stuff. I still want to do the Prezi Traverse. Yeah. That should be good. Do most people go south on that? Is that the traditional route? Or?
I think if I were to do it, I would probably, I mean, I've done it on my through hike, but if I was to do it in one shot, I'd probably go north, to be honest, but I also never done it in one shot.
Did you hit all the peaks on the way though? Or did you just stick to
actually,
the AT?
that's a fair point. I actually did only stick to the AT.
Okay, yeah.
I have done all the peaks, over the years, but never in one shot. I want to do one actually before I leave if I feel strong enough. But
so I think it's 19 miles and 8,000 feet of gain and loss or something.
Yeah.
So I think that may be my last big day out. But yeah, I mean, I hope it's smart.
Yeah.
I hope it's a wise thing to do. My friend said to me the other day, you can't really fake mountain legs.
Yeah.
You can train on the flat stuff and, that's good, but you can't fake mountain legs. So I'm up here getting my mountain legs in. But plus, actually, I've been in the mountains in Thailand for a good part of most of this year, and the mountains are pretty rough there too. So
yeah.
I've got a lot of elevation in my legs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about training here, is there anything you're doing this time around that's like particularly different than what you've done during your training for the past attempts? I'm like, I'm just thinking in terms of like, I feel like there's got to be something, you must have learned some things, like you must be doing something different. Like, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I've been more consistent with my volume. Actually, I kind of made a mistake last year. I wouldn't say I made a mistake, but last year, I think it was April before I started. I started June 1st last year. And in April, I flew out from Thailand, went to Tennessee, hooked up with Warren Doyle. And Warren Doyle, for anyone who doesn't know, has done the Appalachian Trail 18 times. 9 through hikes and 9 section hikes. And him and my crew, one of my crew guys, Iceman, crewed me for a week on the Appalachian Trail. It was like wintry conditions. So I did that. So I think it was about 5 or 6 weeks out from before I started. I did a 380-mile week. 5 or 6 weeks out before I started. So then what I had to do when I came back to Thailand was I had to recover from that.
Yeah.
And then I had to kind of build myself back up, and then I had to immediately like taper. And taper is just a term people in sport use to bring your volume down. Mm-hmm. So I think this year I haven't had such a crazy week. I've been really consistent with around 80 miles a week with 20 to 30,000 feet of vert. And I've just been holding that steady. But the main thing that I've actually done different, Kyle, is just prepare myself mentally.
Okay.
Because the physical preparation is one thing, but just trying to take a deep dive inside myself and say, Kristian, like, you didn't have what it took to get the record last year. Do you really think you've got what it takes to get it this year? And I guess, I mean, it's almost impossible to say, because you won't know until you're in that situation when everything, your internal, like every fiber, every cell in your body just says, I don't want this. And what's going to fight against that and say, yes, you do, Kristian. So just being prepared, I think, for the biggest internal battle of my life, I guess.
Okay, that's so interesting. Like, I have a hard time not comparing it to just like a normal thru hike because that's just what I know. But obviously, like the mental stuff, though it is certainly on a different scale, the mental stuff when it comes to just a regular thru hike is like so important too. And I think that's ultimately what drives the most people off trail. I mean, a fair amount of people get injured, especially at the start, but certainly a lot of people, I'll say. And so I don't know, that's just interesting to hear. So before your previous attempts, this might be a dumb question to ask a professional fucking ultra runner, but I don't know what I'm doing here, folks. Did you spend a lot of time thinking about that mental preparation, or did you not spend enough? It kind of sounds like maybe you didn't spend enough. I'm just curious, like, what you did in terms of mental prep for the other attempts, and kind of how that compares to this time, because it sounds like you're taking it a little bit more seriously this time.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I did enough mental prep, because I wouldn't have attempted it unless I thought I could get the record last year. In fact, every single year. So I think also to take into consideration, I'm going to go for the record like in a couple of weeks, and my base is I'm the second fastest in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So last year when I was going for the record, my base was, okay, I spent, I drew my confidence from, I've spent 15 days on trail with the record holder running 2/3 of each one of his days. But now, you know, I've never done the whole trail, but so I guess your mental strength is also increased by your experiences.
Yeah.
And my experience from last year, that now I'm the second fastest in the world. I guess I'm the world's number one contender.
Yeah.
I'm the second fastest, and I'm, you know, out to set new records. So that's going to provide me something to draw on as well. But every single year, I always thought I could do it.
Yeah.
So it's not like I ever went in feeling there was a part missing, but looking back in hindsight, you can always see.
It's
think,
easier.
Oh man, I felt like an amateur then.
Yeah.
And so I feel better prepared than I ever have done before now.
That's good. Would you say the same thing in terms of like your confidence going into it?
Yeah, a confidence.
Because I know it's a little bit different, right? You can feel like you're the best prepared that you've ever been, but that doesn't necessarily translate to the confidence. I don't know. Well,
I guess the difference with my confidence this year is I have completed the trail in the second fastest time, and it's a funny thing. Like if you ask me, like, what has that done to my confidence? It hasn't really. You'd think doing something like that, like I said a while ago, you know, setting the second fastest time is meant to, I guess, normally you would think, wow, that's such like you can boast about that or whatever.
Yeah.
But for me, I failed to set the record, you know, and I drew a lot of lessons. So instead of spending all my time thinking about what I've achieved last year, I guess I've spent most of my time thinking about what mistakes I made and how I can improve upon them. Mm-hmm. So the difference with this year is I've got this whole experience that I can draw on from last year, and try to bring those lessons forward and not make those same mistakes again this year. Yeah, that's definitely the difference from any other previous attempt.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's talk about some of that stuff a little bit more specifically. And we had talked about this a little bit when we were hiking the other day too, and I find it very fascinating. And I was actually going to lead into this too. That's why I started asking like how the training was different this time. But now I guess we'll go into like when you're actually out there. I don't know, just like what are some of the things you're going to do differently? Yeah, in terms of when you're actually out there compared to the last couple times.
Yeah, okay, that's a good question. So I was starting, I think last year when I was going for the record, a lot of strategies I was kind of drawing from my experiences with Carol during his attempt in 2018. So one of the things Carol did was start either 4 a.m. or a little bit before, and you know, he had his reasons, and I thought his reasons were good. You know, it was running his nighttime or dark hours in the morning when he was fresh, able to look forward to sunrise, get new energy, and then carry on throughout the day. But so I copied that approach last year, but actually I've been thinking to myself, like this year I want to make this attempt more my own attempt, and you know, put my take on it and my ideas. So I'm going to push the start time forward by an hour and start at 5, just because getting up at 3:30 in the morning feels like it's night time, and 4:30 in the morning and then starting at 5 feels like it's the very beginning of the day by the minute. For me, the day begins at 5 a.m. So I just think psychologically that is going to be, which means I finish an hour later, of course. But a lot of the time on trail last year I was finishing, you know, sometimes 45 minutes before sunset, or, you know, before it got dark. So I'm actually going to have more daylight hours, I guess, doing that. But that may be 4:30 to begin with, just because I've noticed the sunrise is 4:50 a.m. in the morning on the 1st of July in Maine. Actually, Maine gets the first sunrise.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It is, yeah. That's one thing. I guess one of the other things is to work as a team, because there was eventually, with the strategy and how far we were going to go each day and the final destination and stuff, there was sometimes some ideas that weren't aligning with me and the crew. So sometimes I felt like I was battling the crew I was getting in. I was tired, and I was saying, okay, carry on and do this or do that. And so I just kind of want to come into this with a strategy where I'm not told what to do. We all know what's happening, because I don't really like being told what to do.
Yeah.
You know? So I think if we just go in there with a plan, and then one of the other things is as well is I had this roof tent last year. I called it Snuggles, because you're so comfortable. And I bet all the through hikers are out there thinking, oh my gosh, this guy's
no,
he's got a roof tent. What is this? But yeah, I mean, you know what? I helped set the supported record. I liked it. I like training with it. So I'm going for the supported record. There is a self-supported, but I'm not going for it. So yeah, I had a roof tent, and I just found myself being a bit too drawn towards the roof tent. So what I'm doing is fine-tuning, seeing the crew at a road crossing, and then let's say if there's a few hours of daylight left, or they can't meet me till way on the other side when I would like to stop. So that means I'm going to camp in the woods, which I've done loads of times before, but I just need to be doing it after a 55-mile day, be efficient with it, and wake up and do another 55-mile day the next day. So, you know, there's a little bit more urgency in there.
Yeah.
And I'm just fine-tuning that, because you need a good sleep. So I think there are three of the main things I'm doing different this year.
Interesting. Yeah, we talked about this quite a bit when we were hiking the other day. It's like that's one of the things I never even thought of when I think about people doing these record attempts. It's like, no, sometimes you are going to end up actually camping on trail. Like I always just assumed you could always make it so that you're at a road crossing, and I'm sure you probably prefer that and try to do that, but there's sometimes where that's just not possible, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there needs to be within reason. I mean, it's no point me going 20 minutes further onto the trail to sleep in my tent if I can be in the roof tent. So I think there needs to be like a threshold. Yeah. So maybe 30 minutes is the threshold, because obviously 30 minutes a day further on trail, not that it would be every day, but if it was, say, for half of the time, that's 10 hours, half a day. And some of these records come down to less than that. Mm-hmm. To knock 10 hours off a record is pretty amazing, actually. So yeah, I think, but yeah, you're right, there's so many road crossings, it's almost like it may be unnecessary, but finishing at a road crossing, I think, so within 30 minutes is the reason, then within reason, but then if you can maybe, let's say you've got 45 minutes a day before you want to finish, so, okay, so I'm going to carry on into the woods, because that's at 3.5 miles an hour, that's, what is that, 2 miles or something like that, or something, so yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense, damn. I guess, let's take it back to a pretty basic level. So I know there's probably going to be, especially because you're on specifically, there's going to be some people that are very familiar with the whole record setting and like these FKTs and stuff, but I'm sure there's probably a lot of folks, probably the majority of folks, that are more like me and don't know quite as much about it. What does it's a very basic question, but like what does your crew do? Like where are they meeting you? Like what are they bringing you? What are they setting up? Like just how does that whole like dynamic work?
Yeah, okay, so they're going to meet me maybe in between, say, 4 and 6 times a day, oh wow, okay. Yeah, depending on like there's some big stretches like the Smokies, it's there's some 30-mile stretches, and then also up north, hard to access roads, Forest Service roads. So when I do, like, let's say I see the crew, I run in, I'll have a running pack on, pretty light running pack. I mean, I would have consumed probably all my calories, which will just be regular trail foods, maybe, trail mix, Snickers, some salty foods. Mm-hmm. Maybe the difference, I'll have some electrolyte drinks with me. So I guess I want to replenish my food. So the crew are there, I get some food off them, change my water bottles from empty to full, and just carry on. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's that basic. Yeah. They're just there. It's like a NASCAR.
That's a good way to put it, actually.
It's like get him in, change the tires, get him out. I mean, like you don't want to be spending a lot of time with the crew.
Interesting. And then what about camping? Are they like setting up the tent and like cooking you food and stuff? Like how does that work?
Yeah, so on the night time, thanks to Backpackers Pantry, thank you. They supply me some meals, and I'll have one of those meals. And last year I was having Ensure, which was full of protein. Like I was having,
I don't know that brand.
Ensure is like in Walmart, and it's a bit like chocolate milk or strawberry or vanilla. And they can have like 30 grams of protein in them, or 28 grams of protein.
Is there just like a powder?
No, it's actually already a liquid. It's in a small bottle, and you uncap it. And so I was having like a camping meal last year. Well, I'm going to be doing this year as well. I'm going to have a camping meal. And either if it's not an Ensure, just like a protein drink. Because at the end of the day, you want to stack your, you want to repair your muscles. Mm-hmm. So the crew, yes, they would have created a camping meal for me. They'll have me like a drink with protein in it. I'll have to wash my feet because you got to look after your feet. I usually file down if I've got each day I do a little bit of a file so those calluses don't get too big. And then, I mean, sometimes I take ice, on a certain part of my body, and then the aim is within less than 30 minutes I'm in bed.
Yeah. So it's all just quick.
Yeah, really quick.
I mean, obviously.
And then in the mornings I wake up, I get dressed, there's already some oatmeal ready for me and a cold black coffee, eat the oatmeal, drink the coffee, and just go. So the crew are like my base station. Yeah. But if I'm staying out on trail, then probably I won't be able to wash my feet. I won't be able to have the ice. So it's going to be a lot more basic. It'll just be like a regular thru hiker, but trying to do it quick. Yeah. Set tent up, eat, sleep, wake up, go. Yeah. Man, it sounds so stressful just for like over 40 days, just constantly just thinking about the time. Like even when you're just, sitting there at the end of the day, it's like you even said, like 30 minutes or less. So it's like, that just sounds so stressful to me. Like it's just, just go for that long straight. This is really interesting. So I mean, there was a guy picked me up called Peter Wetzel yesterday. He's on fastestknowntimes.com. These guys record times on trails around the world, and he's got the fastest yo-yo. Oh, really? Fastest known. Yeah, he's 74 now. He's he was a meteorologist and hiker trash as well. Nice. Like tall guy with a big beard, grey hair, long hair. And he picked me up yesterday because he wants to help us out. And I said, just take me to the trail, let's hang out and see how we get on. And I really liked what he said because I described the Appalachian Trail as being in jail. Like, you're in jail, you really can't do anything. You're going past these beautiful scenes and you can turn your head, look, but you have to carry on, you really can't stop. Yeah. And it's like being in jail. It's like you don't have control over all your normal desires of a human being to stop and sit down and talk at a campfire or look at a view or go and soak in the river or whatever it is. Like you can't succumb to your normal human desires, so it's like being in jail. And he said he heard me make that comment and he said it's kind of negative. He said you're going to go into a space that the only person who's been there in the world is Carol Sebe, and you're entering that space, and to be in that space is a privilege. Mm-hmm. So like you kind of, in a way, and I like to get advice from people who are older than me because I feel there's a lot of wisdom and experience there. Mm-hmm. He flipped my mind upside down yesterday and thought, he's right. I need to, and this is part of the mental preparation. It's no good thinking, and I know you said it's kind of depressing, but I guess it is kind of depressing, but on the other side of that is to experience something in life that probably no one else in the world is going to experience. Mm-hmm. And that's just, I guess, discipline to maybe beyond imagination. Yeah. And I guess what comes with that is after you've finished, I don't know what it feels like, but I'm wondering what it's like on the other side.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It attracts me.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're going to get to experience it too. Man, this is so good, dude. There's so much there. Like, I guess, I'm kind of going all over the place with the questions now, but, another pretty basic question, a little bit more along these like philosophical lines. I'm sure you've answered this before, but I got to know, like, why are you doing this? Like, what drew you? I know you talked a little bit about the AT specifically, but more just like, why are you so persistent in going for this record? Like, beyond, what you just mentioned there, like, what does it bring you? I mean, 4 attempts, and it's one thing just to do 1 attempt, but like you're on your 4th here, and like, obviously, like, it's something that's, it seems like you've pretty much designed your whole life for these past number of years around it. Just you take this in whatever direction you want, but just why,
Yeah, I really struggled with that question before, because I guess I didn't really knew the answer.
So you were going through all this effort, financial aspect, like, everything. It's encompassing your life, and you still didn't really have like a clear reason. I'm
starting to have more of an understanding now, and I think interpretation as to why I'm doing this, it's still like a little bit cloudy, because I guess as years go by you have more clarity on past actions. But for now, I'll say this: I wanted to choose. When I was a young boy, I always thought I would be good at something, like not good, but like the best, in the world, and or maybe that's the wrong word, the most accomplished, or maybe it's not the best, but just be at the top of people who try to do that particular hobby or whatever it is. And I remember I used to be interested in boxing. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, and I was thinking of all the hard asses out there. Like, there's so many badasses. Like, there's no way you could beat everyone in the world.
Yeah.
But no, I think it comes down to, I chose something, and that something for me is the Appalachian Trail, and I wanted to be good at it in comparison to the other people who try to do it as fast as they can. So I just chose that in my life to try to find some kind of excellence. It holds me responsible. Every action I take each day is either a step towards that goal or a step away from it. So if I just drink a lot of beer every day, I'm like doing something that's going to take me away from the goal. So that goal of becoming excellent at something in life is keeping me accountable and giving me focus. So it's just giving me some direction in my life. So I have tailored my entire life around it. I pretty much, it's kind of everything to me,
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just about showing that I can persist and keep on persisting, and just even after I fail many times, but just keep on persisting, because I want to be really, I just don't want to give up.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Clearly.
I still don't know really. I don't know.
I think that was a good answer. Like, that's a tough question. It's very open-ended, and I thought that was a great answer. And it's so incredible. It really just is like discipline to the highest possible degree, and like it's hard not to respect that. Like it's pretty incredible. Like a lot of things in life require discipline. Even what I do here, consistently putting out content, requires a lot of discipline, but this is like on a whole nother level. It's pretty insane to me, and it's quite inspiring.
I'll just say this, because I do some like online run coaching, and I asked my client the other day, Tom, he's just signed up for his first 200 miler, and I said, why are you doing this? And he said, because every race I've done makes me a better person and makes me enjoy life more, and I'm doing this because I think it's impossible. So I really liked his answer, and sometimes you can maybe draw a bit more like sense from other people than you can produce yourself. So I kind of like what Tom said, so I'll go along that everything that I do, which I feel takes some discipline and hard work, but then finally is achieved, kind of makes me a better person and makes life more enjoyable.
Yeah.
And I think this is just the same as that.
Yeah. Man, it's so incredible. Like, I don't even know how to follow that up. Like, it really is like a hard question. And even like talking to just normal thru hikers, it's like a lot of the time it is, even if you do know like what the reason is, like you feel it, it can even just be difficult to like verbalize that sometimes, you know? And I thought that was a great answer, and it's definitely like giving me something to think about.
You know, like when you said like even just like normal thru hikers, so when I was on the trail last year, I made sure I interacted with everybody I passed. So I said, oh, what you doing? And some of them would say, oh, I'm just a section hiker, or I'm just this, and I'd say, no, you take the word just out. Yeah. You know, because like even thru hikers, like, or no, I think you said normal. Yeah. Just normal. But yeah, I think just take that just out, because everyone, for me, what thru hikers are achieving, that individual person hiking that trail, I'm not doing anything greater than like a woman or in her like middle age, or an older guy, or a young kid. I'm not doing anything better than any of these guys, you know, because every single thru hiker has their battles along the way, and the constant ups and downs, and the temptation to step off trail and just quit. And so, I mean, going for the speed record and completing the Appalachian Trail as a thru hiker, it's just the same thing for me. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just a different situation, and I'm not even going to say a different level, just a different situation. Yeah. Because someone's gonna, I'm gonna have battles, and so are thru hikers. So I really identify a lot with the hikers as well. Yeah, so it's not just like, you know, just thru hiking. It's thru hiking. I appreciate that. Yeah.
I appreciate that. So I guess since you just called back to your section hike there last year, I was meaning to ask you, like, so 450 miles, how long did that section hike take you? Obviously you were just going at like just a normal, here I go again, you know what I mean? Just like, I'll say a regular non-running pace, I'm assuming, right? Yeah. How long did it take you to do that 450?
Oh man, you know the good.
Roughly.
I'll be honest. I don't even know. I didn't even measure time. I just.
So you were really just totally immersed in the.
Yeah, I mean, I was with the hikers, partying with the hikers. I was drinking beers, and I was like having fun other ways and stuff. Yeah. You know, and just joining in with everything that was going on. So I kind of lost track of time.
Yeah, okay, I gotcha. Were there anything besides just like learning more about the trail and the culture and stuff like that, which I'm sure has a lot of value even in terms of the FKT? I don't know, was there anything from that section hike experience that you feel has been beneficial for this like next attempt here?
Yeah, so 1,000% yes, because when I was, as I said, as you're running past, when you're doing an FKT, you're running past the group of tents, and there's people there sitting down talking, and you just see it, and you go past it, and you want to be one of those people. Yeah. You know, I got to experience what it's like to be sitting down next to my tent talking around the fire. So no longer, for me, is it a mystery of what it feels like to do that. It's good to have experienced it. So in a way, when I pass that group of thru hikers, I'll appreciate the time that they're having, but it won't be a mystery to me. Yeah. Which is good, because I've been there and done it.
That's not an answer I was expecting at all, but it makes total sense. Like that's so cool. So it's almost like, you know, mentally it'll help.
Yeah, because that's the thing. When prior to the section hike, everything was a mystery. Whenever I saw a stealth spot, I thought, well, I wonder what it's like to put my tent there. Mm-hmm. And I'd have to keep on wondering. Yeah. But after, that section hike, I did some stealth camping, and, so now I know what it's like. So it's not a mystery, which is good because it doesn't mentally pull you back so much. You often yearn for what you don't know what the experience is. Whereas if you've lived it, you can just actually say, these are my memories from those experiences.
You don't think it could go the other way potentially? Like, now that you have experienced it and you know what it's like and you know that's pretty sweet, it wouldn't, I don't know, throw you off mentally in that way because you kind of know what you're missing more at all?
Well, I've definitely, in my training, tried to simulate what it's like to be on an FKT. So, I went out yesterday, I did part of the presidentials, or just up to Miscellany Hut. And I went past all the views and just, there was hikers sitting and they were looking out and having fun, and I just ran past everybody. Just smiled at them and looked at the view and carried on. So, I hope not.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. What time were you at the hut? I wonder if we were close to each other because I was up there yesterday too. Oh,
yeah. Well, actually, when I went in, did you get the free trail mix?
No, I didn't. I just stopped in for a second and took a piss and pretty much went up to the top of Pierce.
Okay, yeah. No, it was dead when I went in there. I guess I would have seen you, but I did see a cinnamon bun for like $5.
Oh.
I thought, that's too expensive.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
And then I saw some trail mix for free, so I grabbed that. 500 calories.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Now I forget. I think
you were probably up there before me. I bet I was kind of late.
I finished at like 12, 15, yeah. So I was probably up there at about like 11 or something.
Okay, yeah, you beat me. I hadn't even started yet. I didn't start till like probably 3 o'clock or something. But
oh yeah.
Anyways, we're getting towards the end here, but before we get into a story, I just have one more like silly question. You've probably been asked this before, maybe, but so. Has there ever been a time where you've been running, maybe even on your attempts where time is really of the essence, but really just any run, doesn't even have to be on the AT for that matter, where you've encountered somebody else and like maybe they're a little chatty and like they're like kind of talking, but like you got to keep moving, so you kind of have to be like, I don't know, like find a way to get out of there without losing much time, but also not being a douchebag, obviously, to the person. Has that ever happened before? That just popped into my head.
I mean, it happened yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I got up to one of the open areas and I was looking around. I think there's an area where you get a little bit confused. There's quite a lot of flat rock on this open area. I think it's one of the first times you see MISCELLANEOUS Hut. How do I pronounce that?
I'm not even sure. I think you got it right. Mispa? I don't know. Like something like that.
Yeah, so MISCELLANEOUS Hut. And I said to a guy, this is the way for the trail? And he pointed me the other direction and said, no, it's over there. And I said, okay, yeah. And I mean, I wasn't in a rush, but also I'm not about to sit down and have a full conversation. Right. And then this other guy who was just soaking in the view said to me, that's MISCELLANEOUS Hut over there. And then I think he wanted to like explain to me what the other, you could see Mount Washington as well. And I guess I'm kind of a polite person, so I just stood there and listened to him and smiled, and I was thinking in my mind, that's great, but I've got to go. But often I'm a pretty polite person, so I think if it's 30 seconds and someone wants to tell me something, I'll probably let just be and just stay there for 30 seconds and talk. But if someone wanted to stay for like 5 minutes, I'd say, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty polite most of the time.
Yeah, that's fine. And I feel like probably too a lot of the time, just because I've experienced this with the limited amount of running that I've done, like people when they see you moving, they kind of know like, okay, he's probably not in the right place for a long drawn out conversation. Yeah. You generally when someone's running, you don't flag them down to start talking for 30 minutes. So
yeah, I don't know. How do you feel about this situation? So let's say there's some hikers coming towards you and you're running the other way. For you, how do you feel about stopping and letting the hikers by? Because sometimes they automatically step to the side before you're even close to them. So then it's a given that you're going to go past. but sometimes they come towards you and then I feel obliged to step to the side. I think, what's the etiquette there?
They say if you're going uphill, you have the right of way, but
yeah,
I don't know. I'm kind of torn on that.
It's probably more to do with like up or down than high. Yeah.
But the way I see it is like, in terms of that, I've talked about this in some videos before, but it's like, and some podcasts too. I think it's kind of, the uphill always has the right of way. I feel like that's kind of not, I feel like you should just figure it out case by case. Like if there's an easier spot for someone to step over or to step off the trail, then just take it. Although my circumstances are obviously different. I'm not timing myself. And so usually, even if I'm running and I see somebody coming, I'll usually just look for a spot to step off and you know, just make that decision. And then a lot of the time they also just take it upon themselves. But every now and then I had one yesterday where I came running up behind this couple and they saw me there. Like they knew I was behind them, but they just kept going. Yeah. And I was like, maybe they're waiting for me to say something, but like, I don't want to, it just feels awkward to be like, hey, can you like get out of my, or can you move so I can pass? And so I don't know, it's always a little, especially like a day like yesterday, like a weekend sunny day, like everybody's out, everybody's having a good time. So it could definitely be a little awkward. I don't know. How do you handle those?
Yeah, I take each situation individually. I don't think there's a certain rule. Yeah. And mostly, it's a very organic. It doesn't seem to fall one way or the other.
That's the way it should be. I never understood this uphill always has the right of way.
I mean, that's the first time I've heard that. Yeah. I guess there's some logic in there. But yesterday when I was on trail, there was this lady and she was clearly moving really slow. And then when she saw me, there was only room on the rock in front of us for one of us to go up at a time. And she like rushed, she saw me coming and there's almost, you could see she doubled her pace to get to the rock first. And, you know, in that, and then I would have been behind her probably waiting for quite a long time. When she's going to wait, she's actually not even going to have to wait for me because as soon as I pass her, I'm gone. Yeah. So anyway, I kind of said, is there enough room for me to squeeze past there? And I just went past. But yeah, I think sometimes, most of the time it's like 99% friendly. You make eye contact, you say good morning or whatever, and it's good. But sometimes there's a bit of an uncomfortable situation. Yeah. For no reason.
I know, right? It's probably just a little bit of awkwardness on both parties. It's kind of interesting. I'm sure a lot of people listening have experienced this. Even if you're not running, there's times where you're just hiking and you come up on somebody and it's a little bit awkward getting past. I don't know. It's funny, but anyway, so we're towards the end of the episode here, and you reminded me that our last episode 3 years ago, I guess, was one of the ones where I forgot to have my guest share a story at the end. Yeah. And I did forget to remind Kristian this time until like right before we recorded, but thankfully he's listened to quite a bit of Trail Tales, so he kind of knows the drill. So I don't know. Do you have a story in mind?
Well, I guess I could default to the bear story. It's not really that funny. It's just, I guess, not that it has to be funny, does it?
No, it could be anything.
Yeah. So I believe I was down in New Jersey, and one of the things that attracts me to the Appalachian Trail is the nature. And you know, I mean, I've never seen a raccoon. I saw my first porcupine the other day. You know, I've been told by you to run if I see a skunk.
Yes, stay away from those.
Yeah, so when I first actually saw my first bear, it was kind of life-changing. I mean, to see an animal bigger than you, furry, walking in the woods, I mean, man, that's so cool. So anyway, I was in Jersey or somewhere, and I just towards my left, I just saw like a black brown mass. And I looked, and it was the, I mean, I guess everyone says this, but it was the biggest bear I'd ever seen. And it was walking, and I could hear it breathing, and it was feet were coming down on the trail, like crushing twigs and stuff. And every single other bear, and I'd seen a lot of bears up to this point, always sniffed me out, looked at me for a second, and then run off. Right. And this bear didn't turn his head towards me, didn't sniff me out. Clearly knew I was there and just carried on walking like really slowly. And I kind of had this really eerie, I'm in danger if I stay around here feeling. Yeah. Like this kind of, instinctual feeling. And so I pulled my phone out. I filmed it for about 5-6 seconds, and then I kind of shit myself. And I thought, this is stupid. So I just started jogging very lightly, not too fast, and kept on turning behind me to make sure it wasn't going to run me down, because I think that bear could have just totally destroyed me.
Yeah.
And then it was really funny. A few minutes later, up on the trail, there was a long straight, and there was a big pool of water, and there was a bear having a bath. That was really cool.
Oh, nice.
Back, and as soon as it saw me from a long way away, it just looked and ran off.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between like an unusual character of a bear and the normal, way a bear acts.
Mm-hmm. A pretty stark contrast, yeah.
Yeah, so I've still got the video, and I'm pleased I did record it. It was a pretty big bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my story.
Man, I feel like that's a rite of passage on the AT. It doesn't matter what form of a hike you're taking. Like, everyone, I mean, it's pretty much inevitable if you hike the AT. The entire thing, there's going to be a time where you're uncomfortably close to a bear. It's always fine, I don't think there's thru hikers out there getting mauled, but it's going to happen at some point. Like, you're going to get close to... the mauling is not going to happen, to be clear. Getting close to a bear is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I've never had like a sketchy one. Moose, I've had a couple sketchy ones, but I've been still pretty close to some bears that... It was in Shenandoah. I feel like they're so used to seeing people, they just don't care, but... Definitely some big old bears down there too. So I'm glad you're all right. I'm glad you got the video too.
Can I tell one quick story?
Yeah, go for it.
Because it just came to my mind, so it's a random story. That was when I was with the thru hikers for that section, Hanover to Katahdin. There was this guy, he was about a decade older than me, so I'm 46. I would have been 44. So he was about mid-50s. He sold his house. And everything, and he just packed his stuff up, and he just wanted to hike all the long trails in America.
Nice.
And forget his name. It was a pretty cool, weird name. Anyway, he was hanging around with the Dirty Bubble, as I was, and the Dirty Bubble were a bunch of 20-year-olds just partying. And one night, those guys all did like LSD and acid, and I joined in almost everything, but I didn't take the acid. You know what I mean? Anyway, this guy in his 50s did take the acid, and I remember the next day or 2 days later, he was a bit quiet, and I said to the guys, what happened to whatever the guy's name was?
Yeah.
He said, he took the acid and he couldn't feel it, so he took a few more, and then after that, he just curled up in a ball and lay there for 12 hours. So that's actually a bit more of a funny story. That was a good memory.
I mean, I think it's so cool that, like, I don't know, have you heard of any other people going for FKTs that really took the time to immerse themselves in just the there I go again, just the regular I don't know how else to describe it, dude, like
just the very lowly
No, I don't mean it in a demeaning way, just like a the regular form of thru hiking. Do you know of any other people that have attempted FKTs who have immersed themselves in that, and maybe not before they were going for the FKTs, like when they were younger? I mean, like while they were kind of in the midst of that whole journey.
I know there's some record attempters, like Scott Jurek himself went back to go after the record in 21. So that's the year that we both failed after about a week. I joined the thru hikers, and he went back to Boulder. And I mean, I think it would have been really cool for him. I think it was really therapeutic, because I saw an interview for him back in Boulder, and I got the feeling that Scott Jurek's that famous ultra runner who wrote the book North. I think that he really wants to experience thru hiking, and I think like you should just do it. If you're an ultra runner and you're out there listening to this podcast, just go and hike. But I really can't say that I know anyone who's done that or who does it. Maybe I think Jeff Garmire, that guy with the trail name Legend, he's like a thru hiker and an FKT setter. So there's him. And then I wouldn't really say string bean. Joe McConaughey does through hiking. He does loads of FKTs, but maybe Jeff Garmai's the only guy.
Yeah.
I know. You know that guy? Or you know of him?
I don't know him personally, but yeah, I know who he is.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I can't think of anyone else. But I mean, it was so enriching for me. I mean, so if you set out to do a record and you finish after a week, you've still got 5 weeks in your calendar. So what are you going to do with it? Like, I mean, for me, it was rehabilitation to go back on trail. I just got rehabilitated with alcohol.
And maybe a little. Actually, no, you didn't end up doing the drugs too.
I didn't do that.
Almost. Well, dude, thank you for doing this. It's been like so cool to like get to hang out over these last few days, and I'm so excited. I'm gonna be following your attempts so closely. And where can people go find you on social media? Plug your coaching too if you want to. Yeah. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that want to keep up with you now after hearing this. So where can people do that? Yeah,
I mean, I guess the best way is to go to my Instagram, and it's Kristian Ultra. Kristian is spelled like the Scandinavian way, without the CH, so it's Kristian. So Kristian, and then the word ultra as in ultramarathon. So that's Kristian Ultra. And if you go to my Instagram, there's this kind of thing linked in, and then you can go to my website, you can go to the live tracker. Yeah, you know, like you can go and do that. And also, we're kind of my dad's got cancer actually at the moment, and kind of trying to raise a little bit of money for cancer as well. So like if anyone wants to send some money to the GoFundMe, that would be cool. Like anything after the hard cost goes towards that cause, you know. So yeah, actually it's really nice just to mention my father as well. Like my dad is someone who's like never complained in life, and yeah, you know, someone going after a record and this is enough pain for a lifetime and all that. Like I don't know any pain. I'm sure when I get older and if I get cancer or whatever, I'll find out what true pain is. But yeah, I don't want anyone listening out there to really take me seriously. I mean, there's people in this world who go through serious pain. So yeah, just shout out to my dad who's you know, having a hard time. And yeah, anyone wants to check out my Instagram, it's Kristian Ultra. And then everything's listed, like all my other links are in there, my email. Go and check out my coaching or whatever. I'll start up after the 80. Anyone who wants to run their first ultra or anything like that, I can help them out.
Awesome. I'll have a link to his Instagram in the show notes, everybody. Sorry to hear about your father. Best wishes there, of course. Yeah. And yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it. This was awesome.
It's been good hanging out with you, and also likewise, when you reached out to me, I think that's the great thing about just, you know, hiking and running, just the two worlds colliding.
Yeah.
Just finding this cool kind of, yeah, like cool times.
Yeah,
really enjoyable.
For sure.
Thanks,
for sure.
Man.
All right. Thank you for listening, everybody. I will see you next week.